Hi, welcome to the Dutch live stream. Guys, by the way, I think I just felt an earthquake.
No way, really?
Really? I didn't feel anything. Seriously, Joe. I never feel earthquakes when they happen, and I'm in San Diego. We're by the San Andreas Fault, but I actually usually don't feel them. Everything okay?
Yeah, it was a shake. That was
Oh,
weird.
Man. Well, Joe and I are both in California where we have earthquakes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Welcome to the Dutch live stream. I'm Joe Spector. I'm the founder and CEO of Dutch. We're a 24/7 online vet service. We have a special guest today, but before that, I will let Dr. Kate introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kate Elden, licensed veterinarian and the Chief Medical Officer here at Dutch, online veterinary platform where you can see licensed veterinarians virtually from home.
And we have Christina. She is a lovely Dutch customer. We're going to be talking about her experience, her amazing cats and dogs on the platform. We have a special promotion in honor of Christina, Frenchie 50. If you go to Dutch.com, you can get $50 off. And so here we are. I would love to introduce Christina. Tell us about yourself, how many pets you have, what are their names. Our listeners want to know. And then in the meantime, for anyone tuning in live, any questions you have, we will have Dr. Kate and Christina answer them as doctor and customer.
Awesome. Yeah. Hi, I'm Christina. I have two French bulldogs, Dot and Captain. Dot is 8 years old. Captain is 4. And then we also have two adopted kitties that we just got within the past year. So we're a full house. We have Daisy and Duck. Those are our cats. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I love Dutch.
Yay. What's it like to have two Frenchies and two cats?
Honestly, so we had a cat before we got Dot. So over 8 years ago, we had a cat. She was very mellow. So Dot has always kind of been around cats. It was interesting though, bringing cats into the picture with Captain, because Captain's my little pistol. He's definitely more on the rambunctious side compared to Dot. So that was interesting. But I feel like the cats really hold it down. Um, they definitely let Captain know really quick that they're not to be played with. But yeah, now they just all get along. I feel like Frenchies are definitely that type of breed that if you wanted to have, felines and canines, that Frenchies, they're pretty good about it.
And
I had
oh,
sorry, Joe. I was going to say, I can totally relate to that. When I was in veterinary school, and for the longest time, I had a horse, a dog, and a cat. And my cat just like ran the show, like he was in charge.
Yeah, for sure. The cats are in charge. And they're new here, so that doesn't make sense. But
how are the cats getting along?
now that is a great question. The cats, I'm constantly like, girls, stop, and I have two boys. Like my children are boys, but I'm constantly going, girls, stop. And it just feels so weird because they are just so sassy with each other. I feel like one of them, they said she was 2 when we adopted her, but when I brought her home, me and my husband were like, she's really small for 2. So I think she's more of like a kitten, and the other one is a little older. And so she's just always like, can you just leave me alone? Like she wants to not be bothered, and the other one just wants to play all the time.
Is there, how with animals, there's like the alpha. Is it by species or is it within the whole group?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say within the whole group.
Yeah, I think it's really personality dependent, right? Like, I mean, if you have an assertive an assertive cat. Like I had a very assertive cat, an orange tabby named Studebaker. And then I had a golden retriever Labrador mix. And I had this buckskin mare. So they were all kind of like peachy orange colors, a cute little family. But my cat was an assertive personality, and the dog was more of Cody. He was more of just like, I'll do whatever you say, I promise, I won't hurt you. And so the cat ran the show. But I've seen where, regardless of size, dogs can be the assertive ones and cats will be like falling in line. So I think it's more personality than species.
Yeah.
And so, Christina, how long have you been a Dutch member? How did you find Dutch? What brought you to Dutch? Tell us everything.
Yeah. So I've been a Dutch member for a little over a year. Or I'm coming up on a year. I just got the email like last week. But how I came across it was, so we're from Central Florida, but we moved to the coast. We lived just about an hour east of here. And that was when we really established, like, our vet over there, that's where I adopted, or I got Captain from that side of Florida as well. We added Captain to the family. We had a really good vet for Dot. I think when we moved there, Dot was only a few months old. She was still a puppy. So we really established good healthcare for Dot. But when we moved back to Central Florida a few years ago, I was having a really hard time finding somebody that would listen to me about her skin issues. And so, it got to this point where I genuinely was like, I can't add up the amount of money that I've spent on vet visits for this dog. And she still is so itchy. It's just Band-Aid after Band-Aid. Nobody is like working with me they're not listening to me. I know what treatment works for her because I have her history with her old vet back in Port Orange. And this is the stuff that would work. I even brought the papers of this is the treatment plan that worked for her last time. And I was always met with opposition. I was constantly going to new vets, interviewing almost. It feels like you're interviewing to find the right thing for your animal. And then one day I just saw an ad. I believe it was on Instagram. And I was like, there's no way that this is for real. Legit. That I could just pay this yearly fee and it covers my pets, and it's telehealth for pets. And so I was like, let's give it a shot. And I'll never forget, I made my first appointment for her. And on the vet visit, I actually said to the vet, I was like, so if this doesn't work, and here's her medications, this is everything we're going to put her on to get this under control. And I remember asking and if it doesn't work, what do I do? And he was like, you just make another appointment. You call us back. And I was like, do I have to pay again? And he was like, no, it's included in your membership. You could call tomorrow if you needed to. And I was like, are you serious? Complete game changer for somebody like me with a pet that's been sick. She's been sick technically since the day we brought her home, So definitely huge Dutch fan over here.
What?
I love that.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just thinking, I'm like, you're a mom of two boys. I'm a mom of two boys. I can 100% relate to wanting to do telemedicine because I do telehealth for my kids too with their pediatricians. And it's kind of hard to get everybody in the car to go to a clinic. So yeah, I'm just going to call that out.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm curious because this movement from this feels is this legitimate? Is this a scam? And the thing is, we live in a world where there are a lot of scams and, who knows what's happening on the internet sometimes or whatever. How is it, what made you give this a chance? Because the other thing is, my take, it's not like you're buying a pair of socks where, you know what, it's $3 and, you know, if it's bad, you know, I just have to lose that. This is like healthcare for someone that you love and you care about. And so I think people, you know, people are even more cautious. I'm just curious, like, what made you create that spark of like trust or maybe desperate? I mean, just I'd love to like dig into like what made you give this a chance.
I think it was definitely a little, you almost said desperation. I think it was a little bit of that. Because when I say that, like, I had tried, I think 4 vets within the span of 8 months, and not one of these vets would give me like what she needed. And it was always like, well, you know, at one point, I'll even be honest, one of them ended up giving her like an x-ray, and then they had to like put her to sleep for her x-ray. And I'm like, I'm here because of her skin. This is really weird. And I went with it, you know, and I don't know, it just felt very like, it almost felt a little bit like not a last resort. I don't want to say like last resort. It was just very much like, I could do this from the comfort of my home. Maybe it's that I felt like I could be a little bit more in control. There's something about being put on the spot when you're at a vet, and it made me not trust vet offices. It was very weird. Like, I didn't realize how good I had it with my vet in Port Orange. And I actually remember calling, oh my gosh, I called them because they knew me. I lived within walking distance of the animal hospital. And I don't mean to go off topic here, but we had like an emergency situation where Captain dislocated his elbow when he was like a baby, very, very tiny still. He was like this big, and they were closing. And like, I called 5 minutes before they closed, and they were like, I know you live close, just get him here so we can do an evaluation, but we're going to lock the doors because like we're done for the day, but just come around the back, you know, very just like, it's down to earth, very like they cared about their animals. And that was just so hard for me to find here. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what led me to Dutch. It was the ads that like kept popping up. And the first one I saw, I was like, oh, I don't know. Second one I saw, I was like, you know, this might be worth it. Especially what I do love about the platform, you guys have multiple vets, you know? So like, I think I've seen maybe 3 or 4, and there's some that like, I just feel like I can, they hear me out better, maybe not that like other vets don't, but you know, like I can communicate better with some, or it just, it's a decent, it's a decent approach, I think, that you guys have going on for animal care.
We actually have a question from people watching, and it kind of has to do with this x-ray. So this person is saying, my 5-year-old blue staffy pit bull mix has a bump on her spine. The spot moves a bit when I try. She's not in any pain. What do I need to watch to get a biopsy done? And maybe like like you had this experience with an x-ray. I mean, I'd love to hear Dr. Kate, but I also want to hear from you as on the pet parent side, like, when do you feel like, okay, it's worth the money to get something done, but sometimes it can feel like, okay, this is going to be hundreds of dollars, and I can tell this is not going to be helpful. I don't know, like, it's such a tough call.
Do you want to go first?
I was going to let you go first because I want to hear like from the pet parent side, because as soon as you said the bump, my whole brain is going to the medicalization side of things. And I'm like, I want to pause and hear what it's like from, you know, from the other side of the table is what we say in vet med, you know, because I think like in vet school, we get trained to do the best thing. You know, we get trained to do all the diagnostics and to recommend all these things, but we often forget the like lived real human experience of the person that we're talking to, who's got their like own story and their own, you know, maybe they've already taken their pet to a vet for the same exact thing before. So I want to hear your side of it first.
No, yeah, that's actually a really good point. When they wanted to do that, I remember it was like I went in for skin, and this was my first visit as well at this vet. So I went in for the skin issue, and then that led to where's her records for her shots? She needs shots. It was just an overall not great experience, but it was a vet that was recommended by a friend. So when they suggested the x-rays, it wasn't even really a suggestion. It was like she has to have this done. It was very like, she needs this because something about, just in case it's like a urinary tract thing. And again, like with yeast, you guys would know this, and Frenchies, like she gets the yeast in all of her folds. So somehow that made them think maybe it could be urinary tract, and then they wanted to see it, so they wanted the x-ray for it. But it didn't feel like you said, it as a pet owner, it didn't feel necessary for me in that moment. And they didn't do a great job explaining why it would be necessary. Sometimes, you know, even with children, like you were talking about earlier, it could be very much like, oh, well, you know, a doctor will suggest, a pediatrician will suggest, like, let's try this first. And then if you don't see improvement, please come back. And then we can, you know, it didn't feel like that at all, you know? So that was kind of that experience.
I'm so sorry that you like went through that you lived that. And I think, you know, as veterinary medicine has changed a lot, just even since I've been practicing over the last couple of decades. And our ability to diagnose and treat conditions has gotten better. Like we have the ability to treat pets at the same level that we treat people. But I think sometimes what gets lost is that sometimes people don't want to go and do every diagnostic, everything. Sometimes we need to stop first and listen to pet parent about what they're going on, and do, like, you know, a lot of history taking, and go one step at a time and check in and say, hey, does this feel like, why don't we try this and see how it goes? Does that sound okay to you? And then go in more of a stepwise procedure instead of laying out everything that we think could be done. It's a good reminder, because I've never met a vet I don't like. Like, vets their hearts are all in the right place. You know, we go to vet school because we want to help pets. And then I think it's like easy to get to forget that this like lived experience of the pet parent. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that you went through that. I would have, and I know the feeling of being put on the spot when, like, you love your animal and then someone like puts a treatment plan in front of you with a dollar sign. And for the veterinarian, it's like the hardest part, I think, of our job is when people always think euthanasia is the hardest part of being a vet. And I just totally disagree. I'm like, actually, like, being able to help somebody with the passing of their pet can be such a gift. The hardest part for me is when you see a pet in front of you and you want to help them, but then the cost is too much, right? And it's actually like what that pet parent is struggling with is the same thing, you know? And so we could be better about saying, like, hey, you came in here for the skin. Like, let's talk about step one instead of going to like an x-ray and blood work or all of these things. Like, let's talk about, what have you tried before? Maybe we're going to start with some shampoo and mousse and check in there. So I don't know, I feel for you. Those are hard conversations, and I'm glad you found Dutch, and I hope you felt heard by our veterinarians on the platform. And I hope, you know, like, you can request, if you have a veterinarian that you're like clicking with and Yeah, that you're gelling
Yeah.
with. You can request to have that vet again in future calls.
And that's something I absolutely love about it, you know, depending on if it's like, okay, this is like dire need, you know, like I need to talk to somebody right now. I don't know if this is normal, what's going on with my pet. You know, you have that option to be like the quickest appointment, or do you want to like go hang out with so-and-so that you just saw a couple weeks ago and catch up? Not really,
Yeah.
but you can tell like I have a big personality. So this is even like when I'm on calls with vets, like, you know, I'll take them like around the house and show them like, okay, well, here's Daisy. This is what she's up to today, but she's looking good, you know? So it's cool. I do really love that feature.
I love that you do that, because that's one of the beautiful like unlocks or like secrets to telemedicine is we can see inside your home, right? And sometimes like you've had dogs. Did your Frenchies have ringworm?
Mine?
Did they have ringworm?
Yeah,
I see you have and cats. Yes.
Yep, they're being treated right now for ringworm.
Yes. So
because we couldn't tell with Dot's thing, because like I said, she's always had skin issues like on and off. We call her a sloth, right? Like I live in Florida. It's really moist here. So I'm like, I wonder if I moved to like Colorado or something, if she would just like magically clear up. But
yeah,
so
but she'll get other issues in Colorado.
Oh, which probably. But yeah, it was very much like I assumed it was that. And then Captain never, yeah, there's Dot's skin. Captain never gets skin issues. And so when Captain started to lose hair, I was like, oh no, this might be something they're passing back and forth. And then my child also, which obviously we're talking animals here, but yeah. So now we're even dealing with it on a kid.
So cute.
But yeah, they're being treated for ringworm right now.
Okay.
What is Dr. Kate? What is ringworm?
So ringworm, it's such a funny name because when you hear worm, you think of ringworm, you think of a worm, but it's actually a fungal infection. So it's a superficial fungal infection of the skin. And it can be zoonotic, so it can be contagious to people as you experience, especially like young kids or immune compromised people. Ringworm is named because the like classic ringworm presentation, this fungal infection, is kind of a bullseye or like a target circular lesion or mark on the skin. But as Christina very well knows at this point, like it can look like anything. We also call it like a great pretender, because you can have just like a skin irritation also look like ringworm. And this is so timely. I didn't plan this, I promise. We are about to add a ringworm diagnostic test to our offerings of tests for veterinarians on the platform, a ringworm PCR test. So our vets will be able to test for it in these cases of like itch or what looks like a typical skin infection, because sometimes ringworm looks like something else and you need to test for it to diagnose it. So our vets are going to be able to ship that test to pet parents here really soon to be able to diagnose it. And so, yeah, it's a fungal infection. We can treat it with antifungals. Usually we do oral as well as topical. And Christina, you can probably attest to this. It's usually a long road. It's not like we treat them for a week and they're done. They need to be treated for at least 4 weeks, but I usually do like 6 weeks to a couple of months. How long have you been treating your pets at home?
So right now Dot is on the medication. She's been on it. We had a mishap with the shipping for the remainder of the pets, but I believe their stuff gets here on Friday, but you're right. It is going to be a long road. The cats, I believe it's something like on for 2 weeks or like off for 2 weeks for the full length of like 8 or 10 weeks, something like that. So we're in it for the long haul. But I guess that's the silver lining of adopting cats, because I heard cats can be silent carriers.
Yes, I was going to say that.
I think that's kind of what happened. It was like when we brought home our last cat, that was back in April. That's when all this stuff started happening. But the cats, they look fine.
Yeah, I believe there's 3 strains of the dermatophyte, which is the scientific name of the fungus, and one of them is mainly in cats. Like cats are the primary carriers, and then there's a soil version and a rodent one as well. But cats can be silent. They can be silent carriers, so you wouldn't. They might not have any issues with their skin, but when you adopt a cat, they could have ringworm.
And
Yeah.
it can transfer to humans too.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same treatment?
People, you have to talk to your doctor about that. I'll let Christina.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, the pediatrician, he prescribed, which is so funny. It's the same exact topical antifungal for animals. I think it's ketoconazole. I don't know. Yeah. So like, I just put in that prescription yesterday. I got to go pick it up today for my son. But yeah, it's just topical. They do have an oral for humans too, like an oral antifungal, but that's not first step. They're going to give you the cream first.
And one of the questions we have from Jan Wilson, can Dutch prescribe antibiotics? Are these are not antibiotics, are they?
They're antifungals, but often, yeah, it's not uncommon when we're treating a dermatophyte, a ringworm infection, to prescribe an antifungal and an antibiotic, because the ringworm infections are itchy. Dogs are often scratching, and they can get secondary bacterial infections there, or like in the case of Frenchies. I love Frenchies, but they are more prone to environmental allergies and atopic dermatitis. And for them, that means that they have more cracks and crevices in their skin, and their skin barrier is more prone to getting these types of infections. Like their just natural skin barrier is not as good as the average dog. So yeah, it's very possible to get both an antibiotic and an antifungal when treating ringworm. And most of the topicals, like the ketoconazole, there are mousses, there are shampoos, there are wipes. Most of those also contain an antibacterial as well. So while you're treating the ringworm, you're also treating any bacterial infections on the skin. You might see it at the same time.
Yeah, Dot is on both. So that's right. She's on an antibiotic and the antifungal. So, and I think Captain's prescription also is going to be the same, because he has like the skin, the patchiness and all that. So that makes sense.
Okay, so the answer is yes, Dutch can prescribe antibiotics. If you're just joining us on the live stream, we are Dutch. We're a 24/7 online vet platform. You can talk to a vet anytime. We have a $50 promo for Dutch.com using the code Frenchie50. We are here talking to Christina, who has been an amazing Dutch customer, and hopefully we've been an amazing support for her. It's kind of like diving into Frenchies. Tell us more, what are some of the common things you see in French bulldogs? And then Dr. Kate, maybe from you, what should a Frenchie owner be doing on a regular basis?
This is a great question. Frenchies are so adorable, and they also come with their own host of things. Christina, have you had any issues with your Frenchies, like kind of health issues, so that we can address those, and then I'll go over any other common ones that we see?
Yeah, so Captain, which is my black and tan, he's actually laying over here. I think he hears us talking about him, and so he's close by. But yeah, so something that was common that we didn't know was common in Frenchies was when he was a puppy, he broke, I don't know what the joint is called, but like he broke a joint just jumping off of a couch that he needed surgery for. And that was just within a couple of months of bringing him home. So to hear that was common, that was like more on the extreme side of common things that could happen with Frenchies. But yeah, Dot, her skin issues, like I said, have been chronic from the day we brought her home. And it was something we just, when my husband brought her home, he went to Miami to get her. And when he brought her home, he said, they gave me these wipes and said that like on her back hip, she just has like a few little spots, and you're going to want to like put that on the, sorry, my Alexa's going off. I don't know if you could hear it. It's all the way downstairs. But yeah, she came home with skin issues. And so it's been on and off, mostly seasonal, the whole time we've had her.
So skin issues, you're not alone. You're not alone in that. Skin issues are really common in Frenchies, and they can be caused by several different things. Like you hit the nail on the head when you said seasonal issues. Anytime we have an itchy Frenchie come to us, I like want to rule out that there isn't an issue with fleas. You're in Florida. You probably also know this. You want to keep your dogs on year-round flea and tick prevention, because like we have to rule out fleas, because dogs can be allergic to flea saliva. So even if you don't have like an infestation, just like one flea bite can set them off in an allergic type reaction. And they're, with their skin barrier not being as good, they're definitely sensitized to that. But then when you say the seasonal bit, that gets us thinking about this like environmental allergy condition, and Frenchies are, that's a common condition for them. There can be food allergies as well, which look very similar. And sometimes they'll have a combination of both, or maybe even all three: allergic to some fleas, allergic to some things in the environment, and maybe an adverse reaction to something in the food. So like skin issues are kind of top of mind when I think about Frenchies. You're not alone there. Things that pet parents can do to be proactive about these skin issues. One I would say is you want to get to know like your dog and what your normal looks like for your pup. So when they're not itchy, take pictures, get a good sense of like what's their energy and personality like when they're not itchy. So then you can notice abnormal when it happens. And licking of the paws is one of the very first signs of itch and allergies in dogs. But don't wait for that sign. I would say for Frenchies, I would get a good kind of maintenance shampoo and do maintenance baths with them to remove things on their skin that could be irritating to them. A maintenance bath once a week, every other week is a good idea. Wiping their paws when they come in from walks to remove environmental allergens can be a good idea. And you want to have a good product that has like restorative properties for the skin. So that's one thing. And then same along the same lines with ears, the Frenchies are more prone to ear infections because the skin in the ear, it's like it's the same skin as on the outside of the body. So they are more susceptible to getting ear infections. And I like my Frenchie owners to have a maintenance ear cleaner and to have them cleaning ears once a week or every other week with a maintenance ear cleaner that doesn't have these like big gun antibiotic or antifungals in there, but the ear cleaners will help dry the ears from the inside out and remove any debris that could predispose them to an infection.
With actually a question from the audience from Power Ranger Mode. My pup's paws, the inside, are suddenly red and tender. Can something soothe this? And is this where kind of like that the bath or this? What's the product we have that helps with this? That's just like an over the counter.
Duxo, yeah.
Yeah, Duxo.
That's
Duxo.
what I use. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's one of the most popular products with veterinarians, Duxo. And there's a couple of different lines within Duxo. There's one Duxo S3 Pio, which we'll use once we have a confirmed infection. But there's also Duxo Calm, which is meant for anytime you see redness or inflammation. Like that would be a great thing to use for these pups. Power Ranger Mode, I would get habit of using that. Yeah.
But like if the dog is just licking their paws, that could just be normal behavior, or no, it's always probably something.
love that you said that, because you said just licking their paws, but I'm like, not just, they're licking their paws. That's a sign of itch. And sometimes I might even prescribe Apoquel for those pets, because while we don't think about licking paws, like for a lot of us, if you're not a veterinarian, you don't hear licking paws and think, my dog's itchy. But that's actually a sign that a dog is itchy. And before they start chewing themselves, it's better to jump on it and remove the itch. And topical is always like the best place to start, because you're getting concentration at the site of irritation and infection. So, and when you bathe and you use wipes, you use mousse, you're removing the actual things in the environment that could be causing the itch. So absolutely, like redness and paw inflammation, we call it pododermatitis. Like, it gets its own name because we see it a lot and we can treat it. I recommend using something like Duxo Calm. Like, if you want to start that now for your pup, you could wash with the shampoo. Make sure that you're drying in between all the little folds. You can put the mousse on there. That'll help with the skin barrier. And then kind of think about it like every time they come in from a walk, wipe the paws. Definitely if they're chewing their paws raw, like, you should talk to a veterinarian. Yeah,
and
but
Christina, we've spent so much time talking about your Frenchies. We have not talked, I think, enough about your cats.
Yeah, that's funny, because I was actually just going to say, I think the misconception is grooming. You would just like, oh, well, maybe my dog is just cleaning themselves. And I don't think that that's like a natural, like, after hearing Dr. Kate say what she was saying, I think that maybe as pet owners, we kind of go, well, cats groom themselves. Like, maybe that's a grooming behavior for the dog, when in fact it's not. So, but yeah, what do you want to know about my cats?
Well, so one thing is, with dogs, everyone is quick to know the breed of the dog, but like, tell us about the breed of your cat.
Okay, so Daisy, it's kind of funny how this happened. So both of my cats are adopted. One of them is from a friend, where her sister moved out and left her cat, and she just didn't want to keep the cat. And so we took her in about a year ago. But yeah, Daisy, I don't know what she is, because that's the case, but from what I've been told, she's a Russian blue.
Ooh,
But
fancy.
she has like a little bit of like orange sherbet patches throughout her belly. So I'm assuming she's mixed with something else. She is a diva. She's the one that bosses everybody around in the house. And then Duck, oh my gosh, she is a calico, but she's tortoise. So she has like, that was kind of what drew me to her. She's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, Daisy Duck. Yeah. Well, it's funny because Daisy is named after Daisy Duck. But when I saw Duck, her markings were so unique. And it almost came across like a little ugly, like I don't know how to explain it. Like, she's a little cross-eyed. And I was like, oh, this cat is special. She needs a special name. So we were like, your name is Duck. And man, does she live up to that personality too. Like, she can't jump high. She misses when she tries to jump. And so it's kind of like a play on the name, but also like ugly duckling, like, we'll love you. She was in a crate at like a PetSmart with like 5 other cats, and she just looked so sad. And it's funny, my husband was on a work trip, and he comes home and I'm like, sorry, I got another pet. So it was definitely one of those situations, but we love her. I don't regret it at all. She's the best.
Actually, kind of not exactly this, but related, someone asked, sometimes my male cat won't stop chasing my female cat. How to explain no means no? And you were saying you have to just like separate them. You put them in separate rooms at some point. What else? I mean, on an earlier episode, we talked about, making sure they have different sources of food, and if they're different space. How else do you kind of say, how how else do you try to show or say or do that no means no when they should not be playing together and they need space?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Christina.
okay. Yeah, well, right now it's funny because that's actually what they're doing downstairs. They're chasing each other around and I hear them meowing at each other. But usually, I talked about this a little earlier. Daisy, my Russian blue, she loves to spend a lot of time with my older son. So she kind of like makes his room. She's in there all day, and when he's not in there, she's mad about it. She'll follow him throughout the house, you know. But for Daisy, definitely we let her have wherever she's comfortable because we did adopt her first. So she kind of like has gravitated towards a certain space in the house. And then with Duck, we live in a 2-story home. When we first brought Duck home, we separated them. And Duck was downstairs in the master bedroom, you know, because it's a big room with like plenty of room for her litter box and, you know, space for her food to be somewhere else. And so she lived in there for probably the first few days before we started to introduce them to each other. So she also just naturally gravitates towards the master. So whenever they are, you know, fighting, that's kind of like, we just make sure that they have their separate spaces like that. But I mean, I do have a question though for Dr. Kate. People say that using water bottles, spray water bottles for bad behavior, is that real or is that not? Like, is that really recommended for like telling cats no? I would love you to actually expand on this question a little bit because I could use help in that area too.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to lean towards positive reinforcement of good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior because oftentimes like the thing that you're trying to connect with the punishment, like the sign that you don't want, like the cat or dog doesn't always connect the negative thing with the punishment. So if you can catch them being good and reward like calm behaviors, or when they're if this is about like the two cats being together, when they're calm and you know, quiet together, reward them. Like that's when they get their treat rather than punishing something negative. Yeah, I think like I wanted cats chasing each other. I'm gonna go back a little bit here. Cats chasing each other is not always like in my mind, I'm like, that's not always bad. Like that can be social play and like social behavior for them and practice and hunting. Is that what you're thinking about using a spray bottle for?
No,
Or
no, not at all.
okay.
No,
Tell
and
me
I
this
do agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I think I also talked about earlier that we were told that Duck was 2, but that when we got her, she plays more like a kitten. She's kind of smaller, so she has more of like a playful personality. There's rarely ever any hissing. So that's when I'm like, this is definitely play. It's just wild.
Yeah.
And it's like something like as a dog owner, I'm like, my dogs would never like rip apart a headboard and call that playing, you know, but there's my cat just like going to town. But no, the water bottle comes into the question because Daisy has this tendency that if my back porch is open, she likes to escape. So we actually have like a Apple AirTag like collar. Have you seen those where it has like the little thing for the AirTag?
Yeah.
We tried it. She takes it off. We try to keep that on her, but with boys running in and out, leaving doors open, they learned really fast. Like Daisy is an escape artist. And there was one time we found her in a neighbor's like car, like up inside of their engine. It could have ended so horribly. So I'm always just on edge with that. So if the back door is ever open and I see her getting close, I'm like, is this a spray bottle situation or no?
No, okay, so yes, so cats do like to go under the hood of cars, like that's a known thing, and why they do that, you know, maybe because it's warm in a quiet place, but that's real. For the scratching of like your furniture at home, I would try to calmly like interrupt that and redirect towards something that's okay for them to scratch at, like have a
A
scratching
tower or the
pick up a tower. Yeah, something, a toy with catnip that smells really good, or put some churu over here by the other scratching toy and redirect rather than punishing or spraying. And then, I mean, when it comes to the outdoor and escaping, that's tricky because cats, like for a cat wanting to be outside, of course they want to be outside, you know, like they want to go run around and play outside. Like I love a good catio or like a contained outdoor space for them. And so that's like a, you know, that's a natural thing for them to want to be out there. So I would try to minimize the ability for them to escape as much as possible. Like have the, you know, not leave the door open, or have another type of outdoor space where they could go. If you don't have to leave the door open, that would be the easiest fix. Like keep it
for sure,
because it's a normal desire to be able to go outside for a cat. And it can be very stimulating for them because the smells and the air and the sounds that they're hearing out there, it can really help with mental stimulation, you know, and as they get older for cognition and things like that.
I think that's exactly what it is that draws her. You know, I'm in Florida, so we have lizards on our back patio.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was talking about how Daisy loves to be in my son's room, but Duck she is glued to the back door. Like she just sits there. I wish I should have sent in the video for you guys to like put up on the side. She'll just like, she jumps. So when they climb up like the door, she'll literally just like launch herself and like try to get them. So definitely the stimulation of the birds and the lizards, like it's something that the cats just go crazy for.
They're hunters. They want to be able to pounce on those little lizards.
Yeah, for sure. I think my husband found a dead lizard this morning, like in the living room. He was like, this is a lizard carcass. I'm like, how did that happen? Well,
probably from your cat. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like what an honor that your baby was sharing that with you.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, it's time to wrap it up. Christina, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that we could be there for your Frenchies and your cats. You have, it sounds like a fun household to be in. For anyone who is listening, use Frenchie 50 to get $50 off at Dutch.com. And we will see you Thursday in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Time just flew. Bye, guys.
Good. Bye.
Bye.